The root word of Allah. What does it mean, aliha? They say aliha bimana tahayyara. The name Allah, they say that's where it comes from. Aliha bimana tahayyara, confused. Why is it confused? بأن ذاته Zatullah, the more you think about Him, the more you become confused. You think Allah, how does He look? Does He hand, leg, nose? The more you think deeply into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you become confused. That is why Imam Ali says, لا تفكروا في ذات الله ولكن فكروا في مخلوقات الله. If you think about makhlukatillah, you are easily going to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Allah said in the Quran, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ. If you want to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the means to know Allah is to look at His makhlukat, not to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the more you think about Allah, the more you try to ponder about Allah, to think, to reflect about how does He look, the more you become confused. That is why a lot of Muslims are confused. They put Allah as a human being. When they think about Allah, they think Allah about say you and I. He has a nose, He has a leg, He has a hands. I tell Abu Hurairah, Hafadahullah wa rahmatullah alayhi. In the hadith, he says that Allah SWT in Yawm al-Qiyamah, He's going to put His leg into the hellfire. Allah's going to ask the hellfire, هَلِ امْتَلَأْتِ? And then, هَلْ مِن مَزِيدٍ? And then Allah puts His leg into the hellfire, and then Jahannam says, قَدْ MashaAllah, Allah has a leg, and one of the miracles that the leg of Allah doesn't feel pain. When He puts in the fire, it doesn't burn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because when you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He looks, you become confused. But the best way to look is what? To think about makhlukatillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا وَلَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَيْهِ. Imam Ali says. Anything that you look, there is a sign of Allah which reflects and teach and guides us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the Quran, that is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's the way they say the word aliha came from. That is one. Number two, some scholars say no. Aliha bimana ta'allaqa. Aliha bimana ta'allaqa. To hang on. What does it mean? They say ta'allaqa. Ay hayatul kullu tata'allaqu alayh. All the years that you see, our life hangs on what? And the life of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today is not there, all the lives that you see, they're off. Give an example. Like when you look at this electricity, it's working now. It gives you an eye light because there is a center. Mahat al-Kahrabaiyya is there. Now if something happens there, what happens to this light? They're off. Because something is wrong with the center. Our life also is hanged on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not there, our life is off. That was called ta'allaqa. What is it? Aliha ay bimana ta'allaqa. That's where the root word came from. Aliha. Now some scholars say no. When they say no, the asl is aluha. Aluha, what does it mean? They say the word aluha bimana the one al-mahbub, that كل المخلوقات تحب الله سبحانه وتعالى إلا من آمن. Every creature that you see, in one way or another, they have a love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why they call aluha bimana ay muhib or mahbub. They love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Except when they come to this world, some other things, this materialism takes the love from their heart and they become kafir. وَلِذَلِكَ يُسَمَّى kafir. Why? Because when he comes, before anybody get born or created, in their heart they have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when they come to this world, what happens? They take that love out and they put something else. And that's what's called in Lugha. When they say al-kafir, بمعنى الفلاح الزارع. الكافر باللغة is called الزارع. Why? Because لأنه يكفر الأرض. يكفر means when he makes a hole and put a seed and covers it. That's called kufran. But then later it becomes another meaning, which is a person who denies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or who disbelieves. Why? Because they say al-kafir, he has the love of Allah in the first when Allah created him. Now when he came, he took it out and put something else and covers it. That's what's called al-kafir kafir. Because each and every being carries the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, then the scholars say no. They say no, some scholars say no. The word that Allah is just ism and it's not from the word aluha. They say why? Because if in Arabic, if the word, the root word, if it does say it's aliha or aluha, as they mentioned, if you add the alif and lam to it, the ma'rifah, they said, and then you add harf al-nida, what happens? The alif or lam has to disappear. That's the rule, the grammar in Arabic. Meaning, for example, if I say Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman, Alif wal Lam, Ar-Rahman. If I add Ya un-Nida, I say Ya, the Alif wal Lam has to disappear. You have to say Ya Rahman. You don't say Ya Ar-Rahman. Good. Now, if they say, the scholars who disagree, they say the word Allah. If the root was the Aluha or Aliha, when we say Ya, we have to take Alif or Lam. We have to say Ya Il. No, but we don't say that. We say Ya Allah. The Alif or Lam is still there. So that indicates that the Alif or Lam min juz'il kalima. If the root is from the background, is from the root of the word, and it's not from the word the Alif. That is Bismillah that you and I say. And then you come to Ar-Rahman, also one of the Ismul A'zam. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا أَيَّمَّا تَدْعُوا فَلَهُ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in one of the ayahs, قُلِ ادْعُوا اللَّهَ أَوْ ادْعُوا الرَّحْمَنَ. Allah and Rahman, they go together. Ar-Rahman also is a kalimatun la tusanna wa la tujma. And kalimatun la tusanna, you cannot give to anybody Ar-Rahman. It's the same thing like Allah. So Allah and Rahman, they are ismani a'azamani lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't give it to anyone. But when you say Ar-Rahman, mushtaqun min ar-Rahma, from the mercy. See, they say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Hadith al-Qudsi. Allah said, I have 100 parts of mercy. 100 of mercy of Allah. Then out of that 100, Allah took one. And what did He do? He divided it among all the creatures. Part of that one rahmah is the rahmah that you see between a mother and a child. Part of that rahmah is what you see between a husband and wife. Part of that rahmah you see between a slave and a master. Part of that rahmah you see between a friend and a friend. Part of that rahmah you see between a brother and a sister. Part of that rahmah you see between the animals. Part of that rahmah you see from the angels. Part of that rahmah you see from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Quran says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. That is one out of that out of the 100. Allahu Akbar. Now there is a story about the Rahmatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why when you read Dua Kumail, you see Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he opened the dua, he said, Allahumma inni as'aluka birahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. Birahmatillah. They say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 99 rahmah and 100 rahmah, but then he divided one out of all these creatures. Now this Rahmatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in hadith they said, one night there was a man who was sitting and was saying, Ya Sanam, Ya Sanam, Ya Sanam. He has an idol in front of him. All night long He was called Ya, pronounced